Go from a fan of the show to star of the show. Send us your opinions now, and they could be discussed live on today's show. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show.
Good morning, Canada. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show on this Thursday, November the 28th. And I'll say a hearty good day to Canadian sports fans around the world, whether it be morning, afternoon, or evening to you. It's episode number 125 of the Rod Pedersen Show, and we've got a lot of ground to cover today. I'm your host, Rod Pedersen. He is the co-host, Darren Dupont. How you doing, Dupes?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
It's like I'm Sylvester, you're Tweety.
Yeah.
Suffering succotash. And we'll jump right into it. We got the Silver Fox, Kelly Rempel, in the bunker with us. How you doing, Remps?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing well.
Is that a good morning for you?
For me, it is. Yeah.
Good. I like to hear that.
Yep.
I'm hoping it is for everybody. Mapping out today's program, Kelly Rudy of Rogers Sportsnet will be on the program. He, of course, is on HockeyNet in Canada, but also Calgary Flames telecast. The Flames are in the news, not in the best of terms, and we'll get to that right away. Darren Dreger will be with us from TSN, the Hockey Insider from Langenburg, Saskatchewan. Rob Vanstone will be with us from the Regina Leader-Post, and Tim Reed, the president of Evraz Place, which is an interview you're not going to want to miss. I don't know if you guys want to look back or look ahead. That'll be up to you. And I would actually like to involve the viewers as much as I can. We're having a few Facebook issues today. We don't seem to be getting a feed of what the viewers are writing in, but they're watching us. So via Twitter or text, you can steer the discussion today. Prairie Mobile text line 840-8777. That's 306-840-8777. Do you want to look back to the Babcock stuff, the Bill Peters stuff? Do you want to look ahead to U.S. Yanks-giving NFL games today? I never really realized that was a term, Yanks-giving, for American Thanksgiving, until our sales guy, Tyler, has been running around like crazy with it.
I think he might wish he was American.
He's the only guy I've ever heard use it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it too. I think it's awesome.
Have you, Rams, heard Yanksgiving?
No, but Tyler speaks his own language anyways.
Well, hang on. He's from Halifax. And so he's
at talk real slow.
Listen, well, speak slower. He's at Agribition, and for a lot of us, Agribition's not a new thing. The world's largest agricultural expo. Can I say it? He's like a kid in a candy store. He's like, these farm girls are hot. You didn't know what I was going to say, did you? This was yesterday as we were manning our tent. We're like, yes, they are. Come to Craven sometime where they're less clothed and drunk. It's even better. Some of the things that we were talking about yesterday at Agribition. It's a great tradition. It's where the world meets. So Yanksgiving, Chicago at Detroit at 11:30 in the National Football League. Buffalo at Dallas. It's the game of the day, 3:30 p.m. Big game for both teams. And then tonight at 7:20, New Orleans at Atlanta. And another thing that's going on is the CFL coaching carousel. I actually, for the most part, love it because it's a lot of fake news, but it gives shows like this and guys like this a lot to talk about, right?
Content. It gives
us content. So Ryan Dinwiddie, of all people, is interviewing with the Ottawa Redblacks today for their head coaching job. And I say of all people because Dinwiddie hasn't even been a coordinator yet. We know Dinner. We love him. We know that he's a great guy. But his name as the head coach of Ottawa kind of surprised me a little bit. It's like he's skipping a couple steps on the ladder there if they hire him as the head coach. And if they do, great. The Edmonton Sun came out with a top 6 list of potential head coaches to replace Jason Maas in this morning's edition. And they are Rick Campbell, Tommy Condell, Paul LaPolice, Philip Lawley, who's the current Eskimos defensive coordinator, Jamie Elizondo, and Marcel Belfait. We all know who those 6 guys are, so we can debate that today.
Yeah.
I also know which one I'd be pegging.
And the other thing is, Paul, maybe it's Lapo that you're saying. Lapo is hot. His stock has never been higher.
No, and nor should it be.
Yeah. Well, so we will get into this today. He's being linked, or at least teams want to talk to him. BC, Ottawa, Edmonton's expected to. But what about Winnipeg? Does Mike O'Shea even stay? I would think Lapo wants to know if maybe he doesn't have to move. Maybe Mike O'Shea leaves and he becomes head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Now, yes, his wife is from there, Tina, but I've talked to Tina. We've been friends a long time. She's like, don't think that we won't move. It's okay. We can move, right? Family is great, but hey,
making money is better.
Money talks. Who said it?
J.R. Foley.
Right. Money talks, Mr. Whalen.
He also said, "Let the good times roll and ship ahoy," too. So
Right.
keep in mind.
So this is the rollout for Flooring Superstore. A lot of things to get to today. Clark has prodded me to say, because we are having Facebook issues, I would say Facebook's having the issues, not us. Let's point that out. If you can click share, please do so, because people are having issues and every share helps. So just go down to the bottom of your screen if you're watching right now and just click share to all your Facebook friends. And if you're having issues throughout the course of the program, we're live throughout it all at rodpeterson.com/listen live. And I'll just lastly say this as I get through the preamble and turn it over to you two, lovely and talented guys in the bunker. Our poll question today for Universal Collision Center, Capital Auto Mall is, should the Calgary Flames fire Bill Peters? And I might be a little behind on this. I put this poll up myself. So far of you, 55%. So far, 55% of you say, yes, he's a problem. Fire him. 26% of you saying, no, he apologized. Don't fire him. And 19% say they're not sure. I'll start with you, Kelly, because you're the guest of the day. Where are you on all this?
Would be put in with the I'm not sure, because
Really?
I don't know enough about it, right? Because there's two reports out there. There's one that this was just an ongoing, nonstop, racially charged rant that he would incoherently do on a fairly consistent basis. If that's true, out. And I like Bill, but you can't behave like an idiot day in and day out and then think that it's okay. However, in his apology, he indicated that it was an isolated incident that was not directed at one individual. It was something that came out. He knew immediately that it was wrong. The players called him out on it, and he walked right back in the dressing room after the game, and he apologized and said that was completely unacceptable, and I am very sorry. He dealt with it right away. If that's the truth, then I would say that's not grounds for firing him. He apologized immediately. It wasn't directed at one person. Those are two such completely different stories that I have a hard time trying to get my head wrapped around.
Aren't they?
How can they both be right? I mean, on one hand, you got a player that's saying that he picked on me all year. This wasn't once. But Bill's saying, no, that's not true at all. I did make some comments that I would do anything to take back, and I apologized immediately within 24 hours to the whole team. And we moved on, and it never resurfaced again. So who do you believe? I don't know.
Well, Darren, you're following this very closely. You wanted to post the letter of Bill Peters, his apology. I haven't read it. But what's your take on all? That's why I said I might be behind on this, because people were saying to me this morning that he's not going to coach at all. That's been determined ever again with the Flames, and they're working out the legalities of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, to not have him on the bench for the game last night, and then they win. I mean, they had lost 7 of 8. That's enough reason, if you want to let a guy go. There's enough grounds just from the team on the ice, and then they win when he's not there. But, I'm with Kelly, too, a little bit in the fact that he wrote the letter, and he did come out, and he owned it. And he said, look, I made a mistake, but right away I went right back into the room, and I apologized. Now, when I say all this stuff about we don't live in the same world as we did 10 years ago, and we don't live in the same world as we did yesterday, and those kinds of things, yes, mistakes happen, and we should be allowed to grow and change. So if this happened, and it did, he's owning it, and everything along the way apparently has been proven to be true. If he made that mistake, realized it, and he's made steps to not do those things and to be a different person, then I'm okay if he's changed. But if that situation and that attitude and that behavior has continued, whether it's abusing players mentally or different ways, and whether it's using racial terms, if that's continued and you're just apologizing now that you've been caught and you actually haven't changed your behavior over the past decade, then I got a real problem.
Well, Kelly's nodding like it's Kelly Rempel bobblehead day. It's exactly what you're saying, right? Pretty much. So I want to move on. That's the take on that, and we'll see by the end of the day if Bill Peters is fired or not by the Calgary Flames, or where that goes next. Do you want to move on to football?
Sure.
Are you done on that, or you got something else?
No, not really. Just other than the only thing that I would add to it is the truth eventually is going to come out, right? And then we'll know then. I just find it very interesting that the players that have been talked to in the last, say, 10 years, you don't find many guys, if any, that say, yeah, I mean, he was doing it 2 years ago. This is like something that was going on 10 years ago, not recently. However, there's a big difference between doing it once and blurting something out, or constantly taking a African American player or a brown player and just constantly throwing certain words in his face. Two very different things. So who knows what goes on here?
Yeah, well, I don't know how the Flames how they're conducting this investigation, but if it's, what do you got?
No, just the latest that was sent to me this morning, just now, a statement from Akim Aliu, the accuser in the situation, just the last little bit says, I have read the statement from Bill Peters, which I found to be misleading, insincere, and concerning. I have accepted an invitation from the NHL to meet and discuss the situation. Out of respect for that process, I will not respond publicly to the statement or discuss the racism and discrimination that I've endured until after my meeting. Well, isn't this responding to the statement?
Yeah, I guess so.
But anyway,
I'm on board as not thinking they're going to fire Bill Peters. Now, I don't think I have all the information here as I sit here today, but if it's an isolated incident, can't be proven otherwise, from 10 years ago with another organization, and if they really like Bill Peters as their coach, I don't think that they'll fire him. And from what I've gathered in the last 24 to 48 hours, Flames fans really like Bill Peters. Why wouldn't they, really, from a hockey perspective? They finished first in the Western Conference last year. So I get where their fans are coming from. The Flames, I don't think, want to fire Bill. So moving on to the football thing, again, I'm reading on Facebook some of the comments that have come in here on my laptop. Somebody asked if Ryan Dinwiddie had been the offensive coordinator with the Montreal Alouettes before. I don't believe he was that high up in the organization. Maybe he was, but we skimmed real fast past this coaching carousel thing. And Kelly, I want your take on Paul LaPolice. Is he the hottest commodity in the CFL entering this offseason?
He would be for me. He would be for me. Paul, okay, let's back up. I think you've probably sensed by my tweets and whatever, and maybe I should stop doing this, because here's an example of something that gets me in trouble sometimes. I love Craig Dickinson, not to kind of go in a totally different direction. I love Craig, but his game management sometimes just drives me crazy. Not knowing when to use a timeout, not knowing when to tell a player to not give up a point. I think the game sometimes for some of these guys, and it happens in the NFL to seasoned Andy Reid types, where they get so caught up in what they're doing that they forget that there's a game going out there that they have to manage. Paul, to me, would be like a Kent Austin type. It would never happen. I just think this guy is so astute and so crisp in terms of his preparation, his planning, his understanding of the game, his understanding of offense, defense, and specialty teams. I mean, you don't have to be a defensive coordinator type to understand defense. I think he, of all of the guys, just strikes me as that guy that would be so sharp that he would never screw up. Like, oh, geez, I should have called the timeout and I forgot. Or, well, I thought that they moved the chains. I thought it was a first down. It wasn't. Oops. Like, it's inexcusable to have these things happen over and over and over again at that level of football. And I don't think he would make those kinds of mistakes. So I think that not only would he inject a totally different, I mean, you talk about, Trevor Harris and his development.
I was just going to say, can I interject? Let's flip it around from Paul's perspective. If he has his choice between BC, Ottawa, and Edmonton, or maybe Winnipeg, let's just assume Mike O'Shea moves on. Who are you taking? I think Edmonton's probably the most attractive of all those teams because you just mentioned Trevor Harris. Look at the talent up there.
Talent. I think sometimes these guys look at it and they go, who gives me the potential, like the up ceiling? I got nowhere to go but up.
Secondly, he's not taking over a tire fire.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and he's got talent.
Is he going to come in and take over as head coach and offensive coordinator?
Oh,
because
My
that's
guess
my.
is he would.
But that's my. You say yes, he wouldn't.
No, my
Would.
guess
He
is
would.
he would, or at very least, he would have his fingerprints all
Well,
over.
and that's it. And it's about how much is he managing, the team and the offense, and you got to remember, I think a little bit is once he becomes a head coach, you don't necessarily get the Grey Cup winning offense that you had in Winnipeg. Because you don't necessarily have his 1,000% full attention on offense. So let's not
Could be a problem.
Could be an issue. Now, not that he can't handle it, but a lot of guys get taken out of areas where they have success and get bumped up to management, and it becomes a little different, more about managing people than it is about actually executing a game plan and doing all your prep. Now you're dealing with the guy who's got concerns because he misses his family, and you're dealing with all these money issues, guys who want bonus. Like, you're dealing with all these other issues, and you're not in the film as much. It's the same thing of being on the air, right? We're dialed into the news of the day, but now I got to remember that the garbage has got to go out and the coffee's got to get made, and Clark with the Facebook stuff that's up, and you're dealing with so many different things that I'm not reading the latest on Bill Peters or the latest on, you know what I mean? So your attention gets split a little bit, but for all the reasons you said, I have no reason to believe that it's not something Paul LaPolice can handle. I think he can.
This is the rollout for Flooring Superstores. If you were in the market for new flooring for your home or office, they're the ones to check out. Flooring Superstore and the Dickin family. That's just scratching the surface of our Thursday chat today. A little CFL there, some Bill Peters waiting word with the Calgary Flames, what they're going to do with their head coach. The Dub fans, Remps, and I know you've been paying attention to them on Twitter because they've been tagging you. They're like, great, CFL's over. We can talk junior hockey. I'm cool with that too. We'll get into that with you here in hour one because people want to know what's with the dumpster fires in Saskatchewan. This was not planned in some markets, particularly Saskatoon. Moose Jaw doesn't qualify as a dumpster fire, does it?
Not a dumpster fire, but they're
Should be better.
They're knee deep in a full on rebuild, and nobody's surprised. I don't think. I think we're surprised they won as many games.
And Clark is telling me that Darren Dreger is ready right after the break, so we'll be right back. It's the Rod
Breaks.
Pedersen Show Thursday morning. Oh, you want to talk about Labardius' wedding, do you?
No, he probably doesn't, though. The way I treated him, I have to apologize.
That and more when we come back. It's the Rod Pedersen Show Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us for coffee on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.